Welcome to another commentary video. This time I'm covering this Global League match in settled waters. We are covering Mr. Not So Cool and MistWalkerMX7. This is an 1100 elo match, almost 1200s, so they are as strong as me, basically. This is a very interesting map where CEOs that benefited from global damage are stronger. A CEO like Max would struggle in this map, in my opinion. Also, there is a lot of properties here in the middle, which makes the importance of controlling the middle not only because of positioning and tactical reasons more important. Normally, you will see in most maps the middle with some properties, but on this map, I think the amount of properties and easy you can get them, because once you get this one, in 2 turns you will start capping this one and then this one, and if you have 2 infantries, in 4 turns you can have all of these properties, which is very fast. And on the other hand, these properties are not that exposed compared to the middle. You can push into these areas, but it's not as easy as this area to get the control of here. Also, having cities next to other cities incentivize Kindle play, but the problem with Kindle is that Drake might be strong here and Kindle kind of loses against Drake. Kindle doesn't like Stolicios, even though this map is has the enough amount of cities. I don't know how much, but once you get to the 20 per side amount of cities, Kindle superpower will start to get scary, and the reason for that is because you will be able to start one-shotting stuff out of the city. For example, tank to tank will be able to one-shot the other with less than 100 firepower, and Killen can achieve to that. I will leave the calculations and like always right here, up here, so don't worry guys. Anyways, this Mr. Not So Cool picked Sammy in tier 3 and Drake by MistWalker. I think Drake is a solid pick. I could argue that Andy could be good too, because Andy is naturally as good against Drake, even though I think it's too big of a map to ignore the fact that Drake is a thing. Drake has not been very much used recently in the fog meta, and I think one of the main reasons for that is that simply the maps don't favorite him too much. And why Sammy? I have not talked why Sammy with Mr. Not So Cool, which I talk with in a daily basis, but I could imagine that there is a black boat here, and this front will be mainly sustained by infantry, mechs, and maybe some occasional vehicles with copters. So I could expect an argument in favor of Sammy, even though I don't think it's too good. I'm not a big fan of Sammy, but on the other hand, Sammy is a very volatile CO in terms of strength. She could be either tier 1, almost tier 0 in maps like in Caustic Finale, and then if you add fog or you add fog and high fans, she could become like tier 4 bottom. So yeah. Anyways, I think this is going to be a very interesting match. We will see each point of view, because I want to see what each player does. I want to compare the opening of a Sammy against a CEO like Drake, who has to be much more conservative. Drake is a Stally CEO, but he cannot rely on copters to sustain the unit amount. He can build copters and bombers and fighters for sure. They do the job, but they are not as reliable as other units, because even though a Drake copter can win against other copter, even more against a Sami copter, which is also weaker, it's only 10% less weaker. The problem is that you will fail a lot of 2-hit KOs with your copter and then tank on a city tank, and that means leaving a unit alive and escape, and that's a big deal. It's a big deal on standard, but imagine that on Fog, which will add vision apart from a blocker, and yeah, you can block things, but imagine blocking things and not dying, because if you stay on a forest with 1 HP infantry, you will do the same as any other. If you are on a straight line right here, imagine infantry, 1 HP infantry, infantry, and you come from the south, you cannot kill any of those, because if you lack an anti-air or a big tank, but also you cannot kill the thing that is on the straight line on the forest. So if you put your weakest infantry here, it's like a perfect wall. Anyways, alright, that was a long intro, but there was a lot of things to talk about, and you will see a lot of black post usage on this map, and the reason why playing against Drake it's kind of annoying. Yeah, you lose vision, that's also annoying. You also get the global damage, but one of the most annoying things to deal with against a Drake player is the fuel management you have to do. And one of the vehicles or type of vehicles that has this problem most of the time are recons on big maps and transports, and you have to be careful with this transport, because if you want to refuel, you might have to pay for the funds of it, and that's not something very satisfying to do. Anyways, Mr. Not So Cool instantly brought an infantry on this area as well as Drake, but Mr. Not So Cool, instead of moving this infantry here and then start capping this for the chain, he opted to put the infantry here and now another one here, so he will have a lot of infantry here early, but he will lose income. And I don't know about that one, but I think sacrificing income in early game is not a very good idea. I think he told me this is the first time he was playing on this map, so let's not judge him too much, but as you can see, Drake instead goes for this and then for this, and he will have not a chain cap, but he will get this in 2 turns. So I think this is slightly better for him. Anyways, also he's going for this chain cap but skipping this city, and he probably is gonna cap this and gonna cap this, but this recon won't be able to interrupt. He will be able to kill the infantry if it stays, which is a nice thing to do. So now he knows that Sami will have the com tower, and what I could do here is I could start attacking this, so I get vision around the area, and if I have nothing less better to do, I kill this infantry, because the good thing about attacking something on a com tower is that it won't get repaired. But the problem is that you won't have a com tower for that boost damage. I mean, I expect Mr. Not So Cool to interrupt that cap. A bad habit I even include myself on doing is taking the hard decisions last, and I don't think that's a very good idea. And the reason for that is, for example, this is not very important, but the hardest decision, quote unquote, here was if you decide to interrupt or not. I think it was a no-brainer, but you have to take the decisions that, for example, this recon attacking here might be on risk because it's possible to be a mech. So this is something you want to do first. So now, if you know that this recon, imagine, is gonna get countered by a mech, you might want to get another recon into this area because you have to fix your mistake. So I think this type of decisions, even though are not easy to take, they have to be taken as first. Also, I really like this capture game from MistWalker. He's doing a very nice job. Also, both players have the black boat with 7 movement instead of 6, which is very useful. Drake is about to run out of fuel, but he will be able to reach this port on time. And he does what I expected. So now the only place that this infantry could go is on this forest, because if you don't bring it onto the forest, it's gonna die. You don't have yet backup. So yeah, he hides the infantry. And 6 HP infantry from Sammy will be able still to capture by... oh, there is a mosquito or a fly here. In 3 days. So it's a delay, but it's not such a big deal, because after that it will get repaired, and then with 8 HP we'll be able to capture in 2 days. Anyways, both players are going hard on tanks for now, which I think they should. Copters are very strong on this map, but they are not super strong. So I mean, if you bring this tank here and you don't immediately follow it with an anti-air or a copter, you might face a copter that this tank will have nothing to do against. So that's a possibility you have to keep in mind. Mr. Not So Cool is being aggressive on the interrupts here, which I liked, because this infantry for Asami, yeah, it's gonna die easier, but you will be able to capture with it like a perfect infantry because of the day-to-day extra 50% capture. But now this infantry will have problems. Let's see. So right now the Drake player is dividing the tanks. I don't like that too much. And both players are controlling the respective properties on the middle, very important. And okay, immediate anti-air by MistWalker, very important. And here comes the tank. Both players are also dividing the tanks. I mean, you have to answer the recon here, but in my opinion, a good answer for this recon could be a mech. Because a Sami mech will one-shot a recon. I don't know if it will one-shot it on a forest. I mean, it will probably if it has cheap damage from an infantry. Because a Sami mech is like a tank in terms of base damage against a recon. So it's a lot of firepower. So 85 plus 1.3, 1.4 if you have the com tower, that's a lot. I will throw the calculations as always because I don't want to slow down the commentary too much because of that. This placement is very good for a recon because it's very safe and it tells a lot of intel. As you can see the base, which is very important. You can see where is this black boat going, and even though if the black boat is here instead, you can still tell if it's going north or not. So you will be able to tell what's getting into this black boat, and there is the possibility of mechs. And even though mechs are as straight versus Sasami are not as good idea, you can always will a mech to repel one recon. Artillery, and as you can see, this recon here is telling Mr. Not So Cool that the anti-air is going south, so if he builds helicopters, he have free range around this area. So I expect Mr. Not So Cool to wheel a copter this turn, next turn, and bring it around here, on this area, on this front, because that will force MistWalker to have an answer for that. Right now, Mr. Not So Cool is slightly ahead on the capture game, but keep in mind that MistWalker can fix that. That was a very reckless mech disembarkment, and it has no coverage because he... Look, this is the perfect example of what I was talking before. Okay, so look at this tank. What is this tank DAX right now? This tank is... I don't know if Mr. Not So Cool wants to go hard here or here, but your strong side as blue is this area, and your weak side is this area, and the reason for that is very simple. Is the way that the bases reinforce easier and faster here than here. But you brought one recon here, one tank here to deal with the recon, so you have to know where is the recon first, and you have to, yeah, the recon might be here, but the recon might move here. So what you have to do is first move the units that will be covered, and then the unit that covers them, for example like the anti-air, will move, because if you know the recon is here, you don't have to cover this, maybe, but you don't have to as much as this one, because this is 100% threatened by the recon, but this is probably not, and now he moved first to the tank. So there is a mistake, but not on decision making, because oh yeah, this tank is not very good here, even though without knowing this, but he would have fixed it if he does first this. If he first puts the mech here, which it's a fine placement, although I could have probably moved the copter here. No, he could not. Remember that this shows 6 movement, but this T-copter has 7. Yeah, I think the placement of the mech was fine, but the timing of the action was off. He should have moved the T-copter first. So now this mech can be covered by this tank, and that could have mean a dead recon. I don't expect, anyways, MistWalker to attack this mech with a recon, because that could mean a dead recon. But that's the example I was looking for the argument before. Okay, and Mr. Not So Cool didn't move the recon. That's very ballsy in my opinion. I don't think you should have done that. I think you should have moved the recon, for example here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is on the range of your own tank, and it's still quite safe and it controls a lot of area. But he decides to stay with the recon, so now it's gonna die, and it's not gonna provide any more vision, so it's a big mistake in my opinion, but it's fine. No, I mean, no, it's not fine, but mistakes happen. It's naive to expect to play it perfectly as a player on a match. So, sorry. Let's see. That's a very good example of why Sammy is strong. You kill easy the enemy infantry with your own infantry, and then you can opt to attack enemy vehicles with your vehicles, or more infantry, and that means that now MistWalker is low on infantry count and has to deal with the disadvantage. I'm not very sure about this cap because you are not covering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't know. This tank, I mean, the last turn it should have not moved here, but now the only good placement that can move to is here. This tank is not doing as much as it could have. Anyways, let's see how MistWalker. He has a medium tank this turn. He's going hard on this area. Let's see. So he interrupts this cap. You could argue to attack this mech with your infantry. So now, next turn, your recon can kill it. Well, I don't know if it can kill it, but it will definitely kill it with help of this infantry attacking again, or this tank. So, I mean, the next turn this mech is gonna finish the cap and you can 2-hit KO afterwards. So it's not necessary to attack it with your infantry, because this infantry will die to this infantry that you can see here. So yeah, it's a good idea not to do that. And a T-copter from MistWalker, I guess he wants to bring even more infantry fast on this front, because if you're able to bring enough infantry and support it with vehicles, you can get control of this area, and that's very good economically. And you don't always see Sammy being equal on capture game, because right now they are. I know. Okay, Sammy is by 1, but yeah, the mech stopped the cap and one-shot the recon, which I think is a good decision. Because if you don't do that, yeah, you might get the city, but your mech is gonna die. And now this mech is gonna get super safe on this forest. It could need like 3 units to get killed. But there is a fly being so annoying. Okay, and I don't mind getting my anti-air damage, because an anti-air, until it has like 5 or 6 HP, yeah, it's easier to kill, but as long as it has 7, 8, 9 HP, it can do its job, which is one-shotting copters. And even though you might not get right the 100% KO, copters most of the time has a cheap damage, because they don't one-shot things. So the counter makes them get down to 90 something or 80 something HP, and a 7 HP anti-air will be capable enough of dealing with that. Anyways, to be honest, I would expect more mechs from Sammy on this area, more vehicles on this area. There is only one mech here right now, and I don't like too much the development Sammy is doing on this map. He's doubling a little bit, and I don't agree also with this 2 HP tank. I could have put this to repair and then finish it off with this recon, which is very likely to kill. Recons do slightly more damage to tanks than infantry, and I think that's a very likely roll. You can even check of how much HP has this tank likely left. But anyways, this recon, instead of killing this tank, was able to get this kill on the forest, which is whatever. In my opinion, you would rather get, even though this might not die, this means that you gain tempo, and in 2 to 3 turns you will have almost full repair tank, which is a lot of thing. But yeah, the tempo play, yeah, was this usage. A lot of copters coming from Sammy now, which is, I think it's a good idea against Drake, because Drake is forced to wield some anti-air, and Sammy can deal with enemy copters with her copters. But if Drake wields a bomber, which he can perfectly do, you will have to wield an anti-air, which is weaker, and your anti-air will have problems dealing with Drake's bomber. Right now Drake is pushing into this area. He sees the tanks, but this tank is not gonna be able to kill this recon, and this recon is covered by the medium tank. So right now I like how Drake is playing. He's playing safe here. He's not pushing more than he can. He's playing very conservative, but he's playing very aggressive here. So that's the way you want to play in Fog. You don't want to play like that. You don't box like that. You box like this. You know, guys? Well, I'm not an expert on boxing, but you know what I mean. On the other hand, I don't like too much what is doing Sammy. I think Sammy could have been more aggressive here, getting more aggressive caps, and he's also letting this too easily. But let's see. So right now Sammy is bringing a lot of vehicles into this area. He might be planning front switch, but it doesn't seem like. I don't know what's your plan with this mix, because these properties are already, you might expect that they are already captured or about to get captured, and it's not like you, this mix needs to be here to defend the com tower. These caps here are not in danger in my opinion, but this here, which is farther away, it's more in danger. Anyways, you are splitting your forces here, so you are gonna lose here, even though if you bring 2 copters and a recon, but that means you have less vehicles around here, so you won't win as hard here, and you might struggle because of that. And very passive on the capture game. Look, he's not only captured 1, so he's gonna fall farther into income, and being behind on income as Sammy, that's something terrible, because look at the income right now. Sammy is missing these 2 properties, and she doesn't also capture these 2, so that's the 4 properties that Sammy is missing right now. And it's surprising that as Drake, not even using your... Drake is a negative day-to-day CEO. Yes, you have the transport from black boats and landers, which can come into place, but apart from that, all are negatives. And Sammy, yes, it has also negatives with its direct units, has slightly less firepower, but you have an infantry that can do a lot of nasty things in early game. But okay, Sammy is Sammy in this late in day 15. Sammy has to cover these caps because these caps are gonna get at least one of them. It's gonna the flyman gonna be interrupted for sure. At least one of them, because you also see sorry, vehicles. This is a very nice shot. I could definitely take it. I don't know. I mean, this tank is gonna probably die without knowing what is coming. So yeah, and it's deep into... No, it's straight in the middle of the game, but your mechs and your artillery won't be able to back this attack. So yeah, and given the situation of your army and your composition, I would have not done it, even though that is very easy to do. Oh my god, the fly is getting me to nerve. And I think this is a very good example of copters dealing with medium tanks, yes, but not... because yes, you can chip damage away medium tanks, but it's not very decisive. Like, it's gonna take a while, and that while is gonna make sure Sammy has an answer to that. Because Sammy right now can perfectly move this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I mean, Drake here repair 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here repair 5, and then this anti-air at 5 HP can deal with the copters coming from this area. So the fact that copters are so slow at dealing with medium tanks is not something very good. Anyways, Drake is being very defensive here. Worse. Oh my god, I cannot talk now. Which I like. He sees the anti-air. He has to cover this artillery. What have you shoot at with this artillery? Okay, you one-shot this infantry, which is very nice. But the problem I have with that is that you have to cover this artillery somehow from this copter, because if not, the copter dealing 2 HP damage to a medium tank is not a big deal, but dealing half HP to your artillery is a big deal, because that artillery won't be as useful. I don't like this. Drake is getting aggressive here. I don't like it. You were perfectly fine, and now Sammy will be able to push you here, and now this will fall, and as Sammy has no infantry left on this area. All the infantry is here and trying to cap them. But still, you don't want to be aggressive on your weak side against Sammy, because Sammy will have an easier time to punish you, and by punish I mean capture things. Okay, he interrupts, he gets the 2-hit KO. That was a 30% 2-hit KO, but he doesn't get this one. Okay, and puts a T-copter here to prevent any recapture attempt, which is not something that's gonna happen, but also denies the control of this high ground. And this is not a T-copter that will die, not even against a copter, which is a one hit KO guaranteed if you have 100% firepower, and Sammy has because of the com tower. But it won't die because here it's covered by the pipe and by the forest infantry. So to kill this T-copter, you have to do a lot of things, but this T-copter is denying the high ground, which is very useful because next turn you can sit with something on this city or capture it. And the moment you capture and you have these 3-4 cities, you can park all your damaged vehicles on them. You can gain a lot of tempo because normally on big maps, like for example Frostleaf, once you get damaged, your units are not able to repair. But on this map, I mean Rachel is not gonna work because it's quite big, and there is a lot of ways to mix direct the missiles. But repairing is very useful here. Okay, nice hit at the copter. Victory March. I don't know if I agree with that. I don't think I agree with this Victory March. Okay, let's see. That capture. Okay, you use Victory March to get a hit on this tank. Okay. Okay, you got some cities. Although I think the Victory March push could have been much more deadlier if you were able to set it up better one. Okay, this infantry here got trapped for sure on this area, and the copter was able to attack the artillery with the other copter, so that's very good. And this anti-air is not going to answer them, which is a mistake in my opinion. This anti-air should have gone here, repair in here on this city. But anyways, now comes a typhoon, and let's look this value into this 40k damage typhoon. And even though now Drake is behind on income, that's completely fine and expected. And yeah, if it's something temporary, yeah, the mental damage might be there, but it's completely fine, in my opinion. And some of these caps will happen, and that will equalize the income situation. More copters from Drake. Don't be afraid to wheel copters as Drake. Don't abuse them, certainly, but don't be afraid of wielding some. And it's not like Drake has abused them, anyways. Yeah, right now Sammy has to play the defensive here. But if I were Sammy, I would have tried to push harder on this area. Right, get control of these properties that are my half and try to be more aggressive on this area. And the reason for that is that there is no way that if you have a lot of forces here and you pressure, if you are facing a lot of forces here and you force something here, this won't help this. And if it tries, it has to go a lot of space to do so. So it's gonna be much harder to do. It can certainly happen, but it's something very, very hard, which is something that we are about to see. So Drake is going to control the middle, and if you control the middle of this game, you will get a lot of properties, and he's already doing that. He has to do it. He interrupts this cap. Yes, that's an interrupt right there. Okay, let's see. He interrupts with a copter, kills the anti-air. Oh, it doesn't reach. What? What? Was that a misclick? Was that a misclick? That has to be a misclick. You could have gotten this this medium tank. I don't know if it's a roll, but it's definitely close to a roll if it's one. If it's not one. Well, that's unfortunate. That's very unfortunate. Yeah, that's not gonna get the kill. I mean, it's fine to get the roll, but why don't attack with the cop? Why? You could have got the kill with the battle copter and then kill this infantry, or I don't think I agree with that. I expect that to be a misclick. Anyways, boom, one shot, boom, one shot. And it's not like putting an infantry here for the B-copter is gonna save the B-copter. And it's not even the easier target for an anti-air. The anti-air will attack the bomber or the other healthier copters. So, anyways, Tsunami. At this point, I think it's a good idea to Tsunami. And the reason for that is that I think MistWalker is smelling that the end of the match is near. He's thinking, okay, if I gain a little more of tempo, I can get these properties here, and I can blow the match away. But I think you could have saved it for a superpower. I don't think it was necessary. Yeah, it doesn't even get. You can get this kill without the power. It was a 90 HP. You can get it. But anyways, I don't think it was a terrible option, a terrible idea, but not the best either. I would have definitely not used my power. I insist, not a terrible idea, but not something I would have done. Oh, nice, the mech. And this decopter is about to run out of fuel. It can definitely go to this black boat and get repair, but this black boat is also at 10 fuel, so it's about to run out of fuel. So that's worrying, because in 5 turns it will crash. And yeah, that's not a big deal. You have already controlled the area, but that's something that Drake has to deal with less. Oh my god, all units out of fuel. Oh my god. He doesn't get the lag roll. Let's see. Right now Drake is still behind on income, but he's getting a lot of kills. He has to be careful with the victory march this turn, so he definitely has to put a lot of units on top of properties. But he's getting a lot of kills, and Sammy has not many infantry left. most of Sammy's infantry is on this area, and the problem with Sammy with weak side and strong side on fog is that you want your strong side to have enough infantries to capitalize and punish the fact that you're winning. But if you bring all your infantry and mechs into your weak side, you're not gonna do as much damage with your victory march with your strong side. So that's a dilemma you have to deal with as Sammy. And don't be afraid to put even a 1 HP tank on a city, because this 1 HP tank is gonna be very hard for Sammy to deal with. Sammy can perfectly move this copter, for example, here and kill it, but Sammy first has to get the vision and then has to be able to kill it, and then has to be able to have yet infantry around, which is not the case because this infantry with plus 2 movement won't even reach. But yeah. Let's see. Mr. Not So Cool goes for the victory march. I don't know. At this point, I could have definitely hold it and set a good attack here. I could try to bring more infantry into this area, put them in position, and then do a victory march that would have got me at least 3 or 4 properties here. But the problem with that is that you have to plan within time, not immediately the turn before or the turn itself. So that's why Sammy is very hard to pilot, because you have to think a lot ahead of time, and also because the same dynamic I told you about, guys, in the weak side and strong side, because as Sammy, your strong side will have less infantry naturally because of the nature of strong side, but you don't want to miss having those those infantries. So it's a dilemma, as I told you guys. And Drake right now is getting a lot of kills. He has stalled this out because he's pressuring here, so he can chill and don't pressure too much into a victory march counter push. But he thinks he can do stuff here, and the reason for that is I think he believes that Sammy is lacking infantry around this area. So if you're facing Sammy and she is lacking infantry for whatever reason, you can safely push against her, because that will mean your infantry will be safe, because her infantry won't one-shot your infantry. There are no mechs, and also all the rest of her vehicles, apart from indirects, are weaker. Anyways, let's see. Victory march this turn. Double time. I mean, that's a plus 10-10 for all the vehicles. Also 1 plus movement for the infantry. And yeah, it was maybe for the memes. Anyways, it was a nice match. It shows how hard Sammy is to pilot. I don't think for any means that she's a bad pick on this map. I think she is quite a nice pick, but you should not play her unless you know what you are doing, because Sammy is very, very, very hard to pilot. You have to think ahead of time. You have to make the best of her day-to-day out of your opening. You have to think about this strong side, weak side dilemma with your soldiers, and apart from your victory march, which the thing that you can capture and threaten HQ caps is very strong. But on this map, the HQ is not that exposed. Also, there is a black bolt there. you have to, I mean, it's very strong, don't get me wrong, but you have to know how to use it. And that's why Sammy on Fog is not as good, because preparing those victory march pushes on Fog is much more challenging than in standard. Also, in Fog there is not as much infantry on infantry combat, because you cannot charge into the darkness with your infantry, so because it will get picked up by recons and artillery, etc. So yeah, it's a very good example of why Sammy is a very hard CO to pilot, but also why Sammy can be very good, because we could see some plays with Sammy, like um, um, Mr. Not So Cool in the early game. He was behind on income, but he could flip the income back and he's still ahead on income. So if you do a good victory march and you are already ahead on income, because that's normal for Sammy, that you are ahead on income, because you can get some contested properties even against a recon, because recons cannot interrupt Sammy's caps, not even max recons. The only normal vehicles that have not high firepower, as Inderets or anti-air or big tanks, is tanks of max, and I think it's a roll. So I will throw the calculations right here, but that's what I mean, guys. So you have to know how to abuse your day-to-day as Sammy on the openings and then in the later game. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, guys. See you on the next time. Bye bye.